Hi, I'm Jon Atack.
I'm Sam Atack.
And just remembered that the word that I forgot in the video that's probably going to be released a month apart from this one is toxoplasmosis.
And we know the first 2 minutes are the most important section of the video.
Yeah, so hopefully that's grabbed your attention.
Good.
Mystify people, that's the way.
Yeah,
ask them two questions.
I think is the word.
Make 3 statements. Oh dear, nonsense that goes on. The enemy within. People control you by persuading you that you have an enemy inside you.
Guilt manipulation.
Yep.
The id.
The id, the superego.
Yeah.
So there's a nasty little beastly self inside you, according to Sigmund Freud. That's what it said on his birth certificate. He changed his name to Sigmund. Not everyone knows that. There's the nasty little id inside you. And there's also the superego, that's what's imposed from the outside. So genetically, you're born with this monster. And then you're conditioned to have this other thing telling you what to do. And if you grow up, you turn into Sigmund Freud.
Yeah, and the superego is not that great either, is it?
No, it's just bullying.
Yeah.
And then they tell you you've got too much ego, so there's nothing left. So I'm going to tackle this problem because it is a problem that runs all the way through our society. It's seen often in authoritarian groups, cult groups. You're guilty, you're sinful, you're bad.
Yeah.
You've got to make amends for this. But in my experience of such groups, which is vast, the leaders have always done stuff that's like 100 times worse than the followers. So, Rajneesh's consumption of diazepam and nitrous oxide was enough to kill 16 circus elephants on a daily basis.
In Hubbard's case, it was scientific. So,
I'm sorry, what was scientific?
When he did a bad thing, he was just exploring how you forgive
yourself.
Research. It was research, yeah.
Yeah, he took a lot of drugs to research things.
Yes.
So he took huge amounts of amphetamines, which he does talk about in the early years. He does tell people, it's in his lectures, it's in his books. If you have to grab hold of something, grab hold of Benzedrine. Well, that's his recommendation. And he did exactly that to write a wonderful book called Scientology, A History of Man, which begins, "This is a cold-blooded and factual account of your last 60 trillion years," which took him 2 weeks to research. Now, it took me 6 years to research a book about Scientology. So how he managed to do 60 trillion years, he must have been speeding.
I thought he gave his son drugs.
That's a joke.
Oh, he must have been. Oh, right,
Speeding.
Yeah.
Travelling. No, he took speed. Aaron Hubbard Jr. turned up, he took speed. He said that was his first encounter as an adult with his father at the age of 18. He adulated his father, the absent father had abandoned him as a small child and sent no money in child payments, maintenance payments. And Mary Sue Whipp was there, the third of his 2 wives that he never had. That's a bit of an in-joke there. Hubbard said in Shrinking World of Aaron Hubbard, I had no second wife. So he had a first wife and a third wife. He did say elsewhere that he wasn't very good at mathematics, and that is pretty poor, actually. You can't even count how many wives you've had. And it would be true to say that his second wife wasn't really his wife because it was a bigamous marriage. He was still married to his first wife. But heck, let's put all of that aside at the moment. Yes, that the 3 of them sat down for 2 weeks, or lay down for 2 weeks, took huge amounts of Benzedrine, which is an amphetamine, not to be confused with benzodiazepines, as it was during a conversation I had with someone recently. Not the same thing, hadn't even been discovered back in 1952 or whenever it was. So yes, when he did stuff like that, it was research. But the idea is to get the person into a state of self-loathing, no loaves or fissures were damaged in the making of this video, to get somebody to the point where they don't trust themselves. They're afraid that if they do the wrong thing, they're on edge all the time because they might do the wrong thing. They might not get the precise procedure exactly done right, and then they'll go to hell, or the ethics office, or the qualifications division in Scientology.
I mean, the depersonalized stage of PTSD also seems like another way of dividing a person.
And of course, the aim of Scientology is to get you 3 feet back of your head, which is exactly depersonalization, to be out of your head, out of your mind. I keep making this joke these last 37 years, and very few people laugh, but I think it's a good joke. Exteriorization in Scientology, the ultimate goal, to be able to move independently of your body. And I've yet to meet anybody who's... I've met only one person, actually, of the 1,000 or more Scientologists I've met, who claims to have done it. And that's pretty sad. But I'm pretty sure that from her description that it was something else. And it wasn't... She did it before she got into Scientology. So sorry about that. But the idea is that you will depersonalize. You will feel as if you are outside your body, which, as you say, is a symptom of post-traumatic stress disorder. It's not a desirable state to work from outside there. Though Hubbard also said, rather confusingly, that the body is like a splinter in the thumb, which is the spirit. So you're all around yourself anyway. So don't worry about it. Okay. You also get to derealization, where the world around you starts to melt a little and not be in the right place. And you spend 20 minutes in the shower and don't comb your hair.
You're exaggerating. I did. You saw me comb my hair.
I combed your hair.
Yeah, and then I messed it up again.
And he messed it up because somehow he's got Boris Johnson.
Then people need to think that I'm unstable.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's one of the unconscious drivers.
There you go. That leads us to... So I saw this thing, in so many former members, they have this sense that there's something nasty inside them they've done wrong, that they're the bad one, right? Which is because the leader's always deflecting attention, because if you look at them and see what horrible things they're up to. And so people become... obsessively inwardly focused. We see this in Mao Zedong's developments of self-criticism, that the idea, if you're a good Maoist, is that you should always be having a go at yourself.
Yeah.
We see it in, say, the flagellant movement in the late 1340s, when the Black Death was romping around Europe, killing a third of the population.
I think the school system definitely puts it into the heads of most kids.
It does, but I hadn't finished the flagellants.
So, well,
you don't know who the flagellants are, do you?
And he's with the school experience.
He just wants to go toxoplasmosis, and you don't know where you are anymore.
Yeah, sorry. Got to remember to listen to the...
Yeah, listening is a good idea as well. We definitely recommend that. The flagellants were a movement who whipped themselves. You can see them in the Seventh Seal by the great Ingmar Bergman. And they walked around with leather straps with iron nails in them, whipping themselves to get rid of the sin that had brought the Black Death upon Europe. Now, this is a very early theory of disease, and it was wrong. It wasn't actually because they'd been sinful and God was annoyed with them. It was actually a nasty disease. But if you can get somebody to feel guilty, you can control them. And I see it lots of, in school, yes, you've got all sorts of things about you're wrong and you're bad if you don't do this, and you're meant to keep quiet.
Or if you don't answer a question properly.
What was the question?
Okay. Where is the sarcoplasmic reticulum located? What's kind of cell?
It's downstairs.
That's a muscle cell. You know sarco, right?
Are you being sarcastic?
No. I'm being... I don't know anything. Toxoplasmotic.
Something like... So, yeah, if you don't know a word, for example, or you don't understand a process, you're made to feel inferior. And let me tell you something. You aren't. It's that simple. It doesn't work that way. The world isn't that simple.
And people's heads work in different ways as well. Not everybody has the memorize the Chinese system where you just memorize information.
No, through repetition, 7 sevens are 49. That's an example of the Chinese memory system, which, by the way, our government here has said they are going to be introducing.
Oh.
Michael Gove, that great genius, the man we've all had enough of experts, just as the Chinese, in fact, in Shanghai are getting rid of it because they feel, and get this is from the Chinese, they get that it's undermining individuality. But we're going to introduce that so that we can...
Well, we like that, don't we?
Well, we can pay back for the century of humiliation that China suffered by being victims of that. I've been telling people about this for 40 years. I'm so tired of it. China, not a good idea. I love the Chinese, just their government I'm not very keen on.
The mountains are very nice.
Policies and south,
Yeah.
Policies and their plans. The thing is, all meandering and rambling put aside for a brief moment, that you can get somebody to loathe themselves, and that can basically means they're very controllable. And I started to see that this isn't just a matter of cult groups. This is something that's running, as you say, it's in our school system. It runs throughout our society, this idea of having to live up to some standard or something. And a part of it, the severe part of it, we understand a bit of religion. There's this idea of the demon possession, and there's some nasty little thing. And we've possibly seen the wonderful Disney cartoon where Pluto has a little angel and little devil on his shoulder, and all of life is reduced to this kind of Freudian.
Of course, Napoleon did have a red devil on his
The
shoulder.
red demon. Yeah, it's said that Napoleon actually took his advice from a red demon. He said that. And he didn't take its advice on Russia, apparently.
Yeah, chose to ignore it.
And that was where it all kind of thankfully went wrong, because otherwise, well, we'd all be drinking Courvoisier brandy.
Socrates had one too, according to Plato.
Yeah.
And I've got one.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, there'll be a brief intervention for psychiatric examination. What we've got is actually that all of our religious systems, the Tibetans have dybbuks, the Jews have... the Jews have dybbuks, the Tibetans have gedongs. They're all of these ideas of demons and these little beings that are influencing us. And so along come, various psychological pundits, and they tell us that we have an unconscious mind. And I'm having a bit of a problem with that thought recently. We have unconscious behaviours. I am not aware that my hair is growing, for example. I don't have to consciously make it grow.
My nose is getting shorter.
We also have thoughts that intrude, like my nose is getting shorter, which it isn't, frankly. Noses just get bigger the older you get. It's just the reality of life.
Yeah.
Orson Welles always wore a prosthetic nose in movies because he thought his nose was too small.
And you've got words that come to you or not, like toxoplasmosis.
Yeah, in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So this idea that there's a mind, that's the thing, that there's a collection, this mind thing, that's got a being, that's got an agency that's inside of you, and you don't know. There's this subconscious stuff. And it's kind of taken over in psychology, in all sorts of places, that we're sort of automata. And that's going to lead me to a recommendation, which is a book called A Mind So Rare, by a man called Merlin Donald. Funny first name, but there you go, Merlin Donald. He was a Canadian psychologist, experimental psychologist, who basically shows up the errors in thinking that are foundational to much of psychological research, which lead to this idea that we are just robots, that we are just automata with selfish little genes that are pulling the levers or what have you. We aren't. We have motivation, we can plan actions, we can be coherent and consistent. What's more, what is unconscious in us, we are capable of perceiving. There's the Frederick Barr's, I think it is the theatre of consciousness, the idea that the conscious consciousness, and I'm not going to fall into the idea of there being a conscious mind either. But consciousness can shine a spotlight into what we're not thinking about, so we can recover, we can bring back, that's a bad word, recover, we can realize memories, we can recollect events. What now?
There you go. Good man. You got it.
Yeah, there's a bit of attention there. Well, that's attention. You just wanted me to stand to attention here.
Yeah,
you're seeing how quickly I could react.
Oh, just attention is a good word for what you put your attention on. And then when you put that attention on something, you can change some of the unconscious behaviors. Like by practicing piano, you can get muscle memory working, that sort of thing. And
by me telling you off, you can spend less than
and by being good
half
at
an hour
piano, you can meet more people.
Yeah,
it'll change your consciousness.
And you can find out about Herbie Hancock. And
he's great.
What's it called? Playing those big fat 10-finger chords. What are they called? Chromatic something or other.
Polychords.
Polychords.
Poly.
Something like that.
Puts all the dissonant notes in the middle.
So that you won't notice them.
Yeah.
So, A Mind So Rare by Merlin Donald, that I think his books and Robert A. Burton's Skeptic's Guide to the Mind and On Being Certain are really up there. I think everybody ought to read these three books because they contradict a certain amount of what is being taken to be scientific wisdom at the moment. And these are highly scientific, evidence-based books. They're not Claude Daniel Dennett kind of consciousness explained away.
Yes.
They actually...
He has quite a go at Merlin Donald.
And you have to. Though
not
multiple drafts of the memory is quite a useful idea that's in Consciousness Explained, but it doesn't... We haven't solved consciousness. The point of this is that when you realise there isn't an enemy inside you, when you realise that you are neither inferior nor superior to anybody else, then you can get a life.
And you stop beating yourself up.
Yeah, which is always, it's good to feel guilty about things you've done that were wrong and bad, and then it's good to do something about it. Sitting around stewing in our emotions is not useful to society. And we as individuals are a part of a society and should partake of that without feeling guilty, without feeling frightened, and without feeling disgusted. The three principal methods of control used by authoritarians. So, don't we stand to attention again or anything like that?
How do you stand to attention?
I just did. Put your hands down. I was a cadet. I was an army cadet when I was a kid.
The camera can't get the top of it, so it just sees the trousers.
Of course, yeah. But would it be funny if the camera moved?
I don't know. Should we
let's
try it out?
Hire a cameraman and we'll rehearse this for several months. But
can we crouch to attention?
No, you stand to attention. I'm afraid that's the only way there is.
Okay.
I had nearly 3 years of military training as a teenager. Didn't do me any harm. Didn't do me any good either. Did a lot of marching though, and learned how to shoot stuff, which could be quite useful if I had a gun. But the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, and that fear is consistently forced upon us, and that sense of it's that Paul Simon song, isn't it? When they say that you're not good enough,
the answer is you're not.
The answer is you're not.
But then who is?
But then nobody is. So feel better about yourself. That would be feel good about yourself. Yeah. Be good to yourself today. And be
good to yourself.
Stop worrying about your engrams, your reactive mind, your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind, your id, your superego, your dybbuks, your gedongs, your demons, or any of that stuff, and just be yourself.
Yeah, I mean, if God had given us something to worry about.
If God had wanted us to worry, he would have given us something to worry about, I think.
Sorry, yes.
I have to rescue the jokes.
Yeah. That's what you're here for.
Yeah, that's my job.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I hope some of that may have been vaguely useful. And I very much like it if people make comments, as long as they're not rude. I particularly enjoy cognitive dissonance. So if I've said something foolish, unintentional,
all right.
then
how do you know that?
Toxoplasmosis,
Yeah.
then you repeat the word often enough, it becomes funny.
Jazz.
But it hasn't done, has it?
No, it's
if you have some criticism or comment to make and can disagree agreeably, catchphrase there, one of many. Where's me washboard? Then please do so, and we want you to, and share this with everyone. Go on, don't be miserly. Tell everyone.
Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Just spread it wide.
Yeah, and if you do that, you'll love yourself. What can we say?
Yes.
And
you can make a little badge for yourself that says, "I share."
Attaché badge.
Yeah, attaché badge.
So go and watch Patriot. That's really funny. We absolutely recommend that on Amazon Prime. Very, very funny. I'm watching it for the 4th time in 2 years.
I watched it 6 times.
I'm going to watch it 7.
Actually.
I'm going to watch it 8 times.
Too quick.
Thank you very much for spending your time with us, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you very much. Bye. I'm Jon and Sam.
I'm Sammy.
Hi, Jon here. Thanks for watching. We'd appreciate it very much if you would click like, as well as subscribe, and click the bell for notifications. Every dollar helps, and we welcome new patrons on Patreon, or you can make a one-off payment with any currency through PayPal. Thanks so much.
We crouch to attention.
No, you stand to attention, I'm afraid. That's the only way there is.
Okay.